Let's bring in Thaddeus Cleveland. He is the sheriff in Terrell County, Texas. Sheriff, good to be with you again. So here are some of the changes that Trump plans to implement right after he takes office. One would be to overhaul asylum laws, reinstate the Remain in Mexico policy, allow longer detention of migrant families, and enable faster processing of unaccompanied minors. And that's just the beginning. How would all of that help you?
Howdy, John. It is good to be back with you. And I'll tell you what, I've got a smile on my face, I must say, first and foremost, because we know reinforcements are on the way. Look, it's going to be great down here along the border. We are seeing an increase in our specific area here in Terrell County. And like it was mentioned earlier, with those asylum seekers crossing in Eagle Pass and out in El Paso, we don't experience that here. We experience the people that want to get away. And due to our resources, we have, we catch about half of what crosses here, and our numbers back that up. But I'll tell you, those policies that will be put in place will make the border safer, more secure, and it will protect more Americans as well.
Right. So he's also pledging, this is President Trump, to take ICE agents off of their desk duty and put them back out in the field. Here's what the New York Post wrote about that. Thousands of ICE officers to be reassigned from desk jobs as Trump vows to flood sanctuary cities with agents. The move would mean thousands of desk-bound ICE officers will soon be out making arrests of the millions of illegal immigrants who snuck across the besieged southern border and are now roaming American streets. One source says they, quote, can't wait to get back onto the streets, while another said that while he hasn't had any experience yet making arrests for ICE, his years of previous experience with the Border Patrol will make it an easy task. I mean, there's going to be some resistance from mayors in some of these sanctuary cities, governors in some of these sanctuary states. What would you say to them?
Well, hearing Mayor Adams speak on The View, the piece y'all played before, couldn't be further from the truth. And what I mean by that, when he's saying that ICE won't work with them or they're not allowed to work with ICE, ICE is there and willing. Yes, this administration has definitely handcuffed them. But look, as soon as President Trump takes office, they're going to be available to work with those sanctuary cities, those law enforcement officers who want to turn over those criminal aliens to them. But I can tell you also that what's going to be great is I foresee Tom Homan coming in and building a force of people, building task forces comprised of state and local law enforcement, sheriff deputies, as well as U.S. Marshals and other federal components that investigate border crimes. I think it's going to be significant, and I think we're going to see a lot more help coming from some of those sanctuary cities. And I don't know if it's help. I think they're going to be cooperating because Trump's going to lay it on the line, and he's either going to get them to assist us or he's going to make them pay.
So one thing we don't seem to have a lot of information about is exactly how this deportation process will work from this standpoint, Sheriff. A lot of the people that came across your border there are not from Mexico. They're not from northern tier countries. They're from places like Venezuela that won't take them back, China that won't take them back, India and other places in Southeast Asia where it's very difficult to send them back to. So how do you foresee this process working?
John, and that's a great point, because currently Venezuela, as you mentioned, China aren't taking their citizens back. And we saw this back in the early 80s in the Mariel boat list. And we're still dealing with Cubans that crossed this or came across, 30, 40 years ago. So we will be dealing with some of these people for quite some time. But I do see having a strong president in the White House with President Trump negotiating with some of those other countries. And I could foresee him talking them into taking their people back. I think he will have success negotiating and bargaining and getting this country cleaned up.
Well, he does tend to be a very convincing fellow when it comes to making the arguments. Sheriff Thaddeus Cleveland, always good to catch up with you. Thank you, sir. Good luck on the front lines there.
Thank you, John.